House Bill 1100, Delegate Jacobs. Wow, a lot of. All right, Jay, you got your folks up there with you?
I've got a couple of them. I think there's one, you have the video? Oh, yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'm getting like former Delegate Parrott up here, you know, with these videos.
Well, at least you're not like former Delegate Clarence Lamb and his 45-minute PowerPoints. So.
Now, this is my last bill of the session.
Okay.
So, this is, okay, let me just introduce the bill and then you hit the button. Thank you. So today, for the record, Delegate Jay Jacobs to present House Bill 1100, Battery Storage and Solar Arrays Safety Training Grant Program and Fund. And this bill really addresses
also
some
developments in a battery.
Here it is right here, the video.
You want me to show? I accidentally pressed start.
Well, so we're going to see a short video and then I'll finish my testimony. Can you guys in the back see okay? I can see. Thank you. Go ahead, Teresa.
At a West Valley APS facility, several firefighters hurt in this blast in April of last year. And tonight we're getting a better idea of exactly what went wrong there.
Yeah, in fact, ABC 15's Zach Crenshaw poring over a newly released report, and he joins us right now. Zach, with the key takeaways in all of this.
April 19th, 2019.
And that breaking news, just horrible. A massive lithium battery fire in Surprise.
8 firefighters injured. 2 from Peoria helicoptered to the ER that night.
Let me see. Move your hand. All right, I got some guys. We're going to kneel over here.
Now, a new 78-page report commissioned by APS reveals what happened.
Effectively, what you had was a defect in a battery cell.
Jacob Tetlow is Senior Vice President of Operations at APS. The report revealing the cause, a cascading thermal runaway.
So if you kind of think about it as just multiple batteries, in a sense, are so hot that they damage each other and just continue to produce more and more heat.
The investigation finding 3 hours after the heat started to build, Peoria firefighters opened the door. A spark occurred, and boom. That caused the explosion.
So we did the best we could. We had 2 hazmat teams on scene.
Julie Moore is a battalion chief with Surprise. She was on scene that night when 4 of her firefighters were also injured. None knew the risk the battery facility posed.
It's just very crucial for us to know what we're walking into in the beginning so that we can have a game plan already in place.
The report says better training is needed for first responders. And more importantly, APS and its manufacturers need better safety protocol.
There were multiple opportunities or barriers that could have been deployed to help mitigate this event.
It's unclear how much the explosion cost the company or how much APS may have paid out to the injured firefighters. One captain is still off the job nearly 18 months later. APS reached out to the injured men shortly after the explosion, and Tetlow says the company's committed to ensuring no one is injured again.
There's nothing more important than safety when we try to figure out how to make these properly work.
Now, APS has 2 other large battery storage facilities in Arizona, but since that explosion last April, they've taken both out of service until they say they can implement the report's recommendations and ensure safety. Meanwhile, Surprise Fire still conducting its investigation into this explosion. Live tonight, Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
Thank you, Trish.
If you live.
All right, so this bill, after you watch the video, is obviously a safety bill on the permitting of these energy storing facilities that are tied to these solar arrays. And so the bill establishes a battery storage and solar array safety training grant program. That's what this bill is meant to do. As written, grants are provided to local governments to train local fire departments on the dangers and hazards of lithium-ion battery storage systems installed with solar arrays and how to respond to the emergencies involving such systems. To provide grants under the program, the bill establishes a battery storage and solar array safety training grant fund, which is funded at least in part through the receipt of at least $1 million from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund, SEIF as we refer to it. There will be a clarifying amendment being offered to address some of the bill that is unclear in its meaning, such as the administration and training, which is typically done by MIFRE. I met with those officials actually this morning. It's been supported by the Fire and EMS Caucus, and a couple questions came up on Monday's meeting, and so we're trying to go address those issues so that everyone's is completely satisfied with the bill. There's a lot of concern, as you can see, for all the people that have given written testimony on this as well. So you can see the battery storage units are being permitted in areas around the state, and if a runaway thermal event occurs, to extinguish that fire can be very challenging, and our fire departments are certainly in need of proper training, which is, at this point it does not exist. So this program would be a grant-funded program that would establish that that educational program, and the grant funds would pay for it. And I have with me Commissioner Larry Porter and Kaylee Leager from Caroline County, and they are starting to get some of these battery storage facilities requested in an area that's tied to big solar array fields, and some of the other areas in my district as well. So I'm finished with my testimony at this point, and I would like to turn it over to them.
I'd like to go first.
Let me go first. Okay, good afternoon, Chairman Barbie and members of the Environment and Transportation Committee. My name is Kaylee Leager, and I'm the Executive Assistant to the Caroline County Commissioners. Obviously, the Caroline County Commissioners support House Bill 1100. The commissioners are extremely concerned with the safety of battery energy storage systems and lithium-ion batteries in use throughout the state. These systems can prove fatal due to the potential explosions, as you saw in the video previously, caused by thermal runaway. When this occurs, not only are toxic chemicals released in the air, but they are extremely hazardous to the first responders and the citizens within the area that are covered by the plume. In addition to the human aspect, the runoff that occurs from attempting to extinguish these systems are littered with the toxic chemicals that are detrimental to the environment, the animals, the people, and ultimately the Chesapeake Bay. With this, you can see the Caroline County Commissioners are in support of HB 1100, and they request a favorable report. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Barvey and committee. My name is Larry Porter. I'm serving my 4th term as Caroline County Commissioner. I'm also a volunteer firefighter. I joined the firefighting service in 1981 and was awarded life membership in 2003. As Delegate Jacobs stated, we have potential solar projects coming to our county. We had a discussion with some of the representatives about battery storage. We were basically told in so many words that if there was a problem or a meltdown, we were to not respond and get people away. That's not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. I'm also concerned about vehicle fires with electric vehicles and the effects that they would have on first responders. Although this would be an additional training for volunteers, it's an important opportunity to continue to provide safety. The volunteer firefighter motto is to save lives and protect property. I think we should do everything we can to save the lives of the people who put their lives on the line as volunteers every day. Thank you very much for the opportunity to travel across the bridge to come today, and we are certainly in support of this bill. Thank you.
Sure. By the way, I have 2 questions myself before I recognize others. Actually, one question. I noticed you mentioned lithium-ion. Why limit it to lithium-ion? There are other chemistries that are going to be coming, that are going to be introduced. Do you want us to broaden that out and make it deal with other battery chemistries?
Certainly. I mean,
Okay.
The video is very clear that storage facility was dealing with lithium-ion. And that's where I think the storage units that you've been
Yes.
in touch with in Caroline were also lithium, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
So, I mean, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
We know the EV world's coming and you know, this, you know, the renewable energy, solar arrays are especially over in Caroline, they're really targeting the shore and they, you know, they want to add these energy storing facilities in them. So it's coming. Well,
you know,
it's coming and we want to be prepared.
Well, that's my second question. The title, you know, talks about battery storage and solar arrays, but I don't think that you've identified any risky aspects of solar arrays, have you? This is all about batteries.
It's the battery storage is connected to them.
Can we get rid of the word solar array because we're really only worried about the batteries?
Well, I think it's worth a discussion.
Oh, no, I mean, remove it from the title of the bill, because I don't think, I mean, you know, solar arrays have their ups and downs, but blowing up isn't one of them.
Right. They're not the problem, and
right.
But they're, you know, they're the receiver of the energy, sending it to the battery storage. So
yeah,
I guess that's why the drafter put the language
well,
in
but
there.
you know, I believe that as in the future, we're going to need to store electricity from whatever source, and it's going to be stored in batteries. So it may not be a solar array providing the electricity. It might be a wind turbine or a nuclear power plant, you know, since those are the only three sources of clean energy.
I think that's a great point, Mr. Chairman, and we take that into consideration.
Okay. And one last final point here. On a per capita basis of ownership, gasoline engine fires are far outnumber electric battery car battery fires. Just go to the National Highway Safety Agency and look those numbers up. So anyway, the first question goes to Delegate Foley.
Mr. Chairman.
Could I respond to that?
Sure.
Well,
You're going to say that batteries are harder to put out.
Correct.
Okay. Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Delegate, for bringing this bill. My question is a simple one, which is how many of these battery storage facilities are there? Do you have a number of how many there are in the
I don't have a
state?
total number, but
you mean in Maryland,
In
right?
Maryland, yes. I'm sorry, yes.
I have heard from several counties that either have them or they are in the process of permitting them all around the state. I think we have a virtual witness coming up here shortly. That's from Prince George's Indian Head. I think there's a. Oh, we do have a virtual. I think there's a huge battery storage facility going to be at National Harbor. And I believe the next person is going to testify to that. So.
You know, I made a mistake. I didn't recognize the virtual witness, so you
Well,
keep
I didn't
your
know if
button.
you were just going to take the panel or.
No, I made a mistake. That's.
Okay, well, that was my only question.
Well, let's
Thank
see
you.
if, is she still here? Okay, or he, rather. Yeah, put him up. I'm still getting used to this idea of having virtual witnesses.
There
Yeah,
he is. It's Ron.
All right, Ron, sorry, I almost forgot about you. Welcome to the committee. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chair Barve and ENT committee members. Appreciate the opportunity to testify in favor of House Bill 1100. I'm Ron Weiss, the resident of Fort Washington and president of the Indian Head Highway Area Action Council. I have a background as an electrical engineer, and I've attended numerous community advisory group meetings with PEPCO regarding the National Harbor battery energy storage system that PEPCO plans to locate in a residential neighborhood. The PAG has had expert testimony from Dr. Ezekoye, who has done U.S. Department of Energy funded research in developing firefighting tactics on the risks of battery storage. And we've had testimony from Prince George's Fire and EMS Battalion Chief Largo that our fire department is scrambling to learn how to fight battery fires. Their testimony is not comforting to the community of people living with an impending threat to to our lives and well-being. We've also found that Maryland and local regulations related to battery energy storage technology and safety are lacking or non-existent. We've also found that the Public Service Commission passes the buck to local jurisdictions for battery energy system safety. The 2020 Governor's Task Force on Renewable Energy recommended a streamlined standard to review and approve energy storage projects, and as far as I know, there's been no follow-up. Current energy storage projects are pilot projects, and utilities, first responders, and local regulators are learning how to protect citizens on the fly. We need front-end thought, regulation, and training to keep us safe, not on-the-job training after a hazardous system is operational. New York State and New York City appear to lead the nation on these type of regulations. I recommend that Maryland agencies emulate those jurisdictions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Delegate Foley, do you have a question you want to put to them? There we go. I've got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The delegate answered my question. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Okay, next question goes to Delegate Naraki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate, thank you for this bill. It's a great bill. Mr. Chair stole one of my questions. I was going to ask about that lithium part. I'm a member of my local volunteer fire department, and I do believe Chair Barbe is right that we're going to be looking at all different kinds of batteries. So I think maybe that would be appropriate to take that language out. But my question for you is, reading the bill, I just want to make sure that we're not only looking at suppression, but we're also looking at rendering of aid as well, right? Because when you're out on a scene where there's a fire, obviously there could be people that are hurt. We're talking about potentially hazardous materials that are being emitted. So will there be in that training? Will there be also training for how to render aid and how to deal with that part of it? Do you know? I just wanted to kind of drill on that part of it there.
I think when they established the training program that would be part of it.
Okay.
I would certainly believe that would be specific to this type of fire suppression. That's the reason why we're really trying to do something tied directly to this, because it's kind of unique in the manner in which you have to extinguish these things. It's not it's not like a house fire where you run up there and give her a little shot of water. This is a much different operation. In the fire service, it's very difficult.
Sure. No, and I appreciate that. Just sometimes I can tell you that inside the fire service, sometimes it's like two different sides of the fence, right? The folks that want to run out and put fires out think about things in one way, and the other folks think about things in a different way. So I think it might be useful just to clarify that we're not just talking about suppression, but also the rendering of aid as well there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, good to see you. Kaylee. Delegate Jacobs, good bill. I only have one question that might relate to our committee, which is the manufacturers of these batteries. Do you view them as having any responsibility to participate in what would safety look like when they're manufacturing these batteries for a particular purpose?
I'd say they should be contributing to the CEF fund. And maybe that should be part of the fee when you permit these projects, that maybe they should be paying into that training fund as well. Because if you look at the fund, the makeup of it, it could be other funds added. So that's a good point.
Well, it may be such that that's already the case, but I think your bill sort of asks a question through grant funding. How do we help the counties in the state of Maryland, frankly, handle the risk and the danger of these types of fires? But more importantly, as I think this committee and our committee often does, when you have an industry that is emerging, there tend to be some obligations that can and should come forward from the industry. And the question went directly to, do you view as the sponsor of this bill the industry that is...
He wants to know if you support extended producer responsibility for batteries.
Sounds good to me. Isn't that so?
Well,
I think it's very important. I think it's relevant.
Well, I believe it is, Delegate, and we'll talk offline more about that. But the whole point of this is really to get on the front end of an emerging industry that has some challenges, and we want to make sure the fire service is trained properly and that we can respond to these things and protect lives and protect property, which is really the mission. I had a companion bill also at ECM tied to these same energy facilities that directs the PSC to make sure there's fire suppression is built into them. So,
What happened to the bill?
well, I have talked to those guys.
Oh, it's in their committee?
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay.
But I mean, there are two
Okay.
bills that are really trying to, look at this issue and try and deal with some of the effects that are caused by it proactively, not reactively.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. That
Thank
ends
you.
the public hearing on House Bill 1100. Let's turn to House Bill